There are more ways to celebrate than ever before at the Jeep Celebration event. Hurry in for great deals today on the only brand that lets you go anywhere and do anything. And right now, get $1,500 total cash allowance on the purchase of a 2022 Jeep Compass Latitude 4x4. Don't miss this great offer. Go to Jeep.com to find your local dealer. Hurry into the Jeep Celebration event today. Residency restrictions apply. Must take retail delivery by 5/2/22. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Hi there, I am Adem. Was here in Turkey on this cloudy July day in Ordu in my hometown. We are still in the pandemic. I hope that you all are doing fine. I want to make an announcement. Of course, I always wanted to record some audio books because I think audio books are the future and so on. And of course, we have less and less time to read, so people are more prone to listen. Reading takes just too much time, and I myself actually am listening to a lot of audio books. However, and I will always like to record one, but of course, there are some issues like my stuttering and however, but I will use part of this podcast in a way to record some of one story. I don't know for sure which story this is going to be, but a new one. So I would not just, I won't just read a new. I won't just read a new story because this doesn't really work. Rather, create a new one for these podcasts, some sort of audio read, and I will pretty much approach it like I approach this this inquiries what we are doing this about hate and so on, so with a little planning, but however, so with free association, I think this works well, especially on short formats. However, we will do this after I have finished this part of hate, and there we will some sort of have a short interlude where I will record one story, and then we will continue, especially with Desire, because Desire I have announced quite a while, and I think Desire is very interesting, and it has to do with what we are doing here, because desire and goal, this is something you can indeed fathom why this is important, and we partially talked about it as well. However, what we talked about it. I will always, in a way, recapitulate what we have talked about it in case. So that we are on the same page. However, what we talked about was, of course, antagonism. We said that this creates of your identity. It is important how it gives you an understanding of yourself as well as of the people around you. It gives you meaning. Of course, this is something we'll have to talk about as well. This meaning, and we said this is very important. People will never question this system, because you just get approval for this antagonism, for being a man or whatever, as well as it has. Let's bring in another example. This is social media. In social media, we always knew. People talk about the harmful effect of social media, and then of course everyone assumes, we should just do away with social media. Of course, it is not that easy. It is not that easy in that sense that social media pretty much provides everyone with a commodity. And this is that you are being liked. This is partially, or it is psychologically. It is if you want virtual reality which was created by social media, which then gives you approval, motivation, whatever. I mean, it then it gives you as well as meaning. So this would mean that even if you do away with social media, people will still seek about this approval, about this meaning, because this is, if you have on a social media, let's say someone has hideous or even stupid uh, opinions, whatever the reason, but these stupid opinions get approval, get recognition as the more people engage in, the more people in a way approve, and the very fighting, very fighting. So social media has become some sort of a art place of appreciation, especially within many cultures, especially what we talked about in counter culture. I mean, what is very obvious on the social media is, of course, on one hand, this narrowing down on physical appearance. I mean, you always see, and we have talked about as well as women, the Aphrodite gender, that women are being considered as feminine, as beautiful, and this is something you get recognition on social media, and this of course leads to a counter culture, and this is very popular in our time. Is that this is this body positive. So even though if you have been obese, or if you are not, or just chubby, you get approval as well. So that has created a counter culture. Uh, so in that sense, you still seek approval, and through social media. So it is not only one hand sided. However, but this is as well as in a society. I mean, everyone in a society wants, in a way or another, being recognized, being approved. Uh, his freedom, his individuality. I mean, wars were fought because of these people died for fighting for self-determination, for individual freedom, for freedom of thought, freedom of speech. I mean, this is as well as being recognized as a human being, as an equal, whatever. I mean, only think about about feminism, especially in the beginning. I mean, the recognition of women in the public sphere, which comes with equal rights, voting rights, whatever, what have you. I mean, this was very important. This is a genuinely humanly desire. So it is not only on social media, but on social uh, media is something you can see and find that you get immediate satisfaction, you get immediate fulfillment. Mm, So, and this addiction, and this becomes even more, or you have to be aware of. This is something you can say, argue with, and this is you will get, or because social media creates a virtual reality, because it is some sort of partially decapsulated from reality. Of one way it it gets addictive is especially when there is a gap between fiction and reality. So this means when you have sub, in a way submerged on social media into a world, whatever you have it, into a world where you play a different role than in your real life. This is something you can easily accomplish. Then this your role on social media will partially conflict with reality, will conflict with how people uh, perceive, and as well as how you are being perceived, and this makes it addictive. This is why it is some sort of an escape, some sort of a space where you feel well. And of course, this is not only one hand side, it is like we said with body culture, with body positive and obese people getting recognition. This is indeed understandable in that sense, but of course we have to say as well as social media is a place for radicalization as well. I mean, we're radicals, and as well as people who live as outcasts, that they get approval and recognition as well. I mean, look at all those far right or fundamentalist groups. I mean, if they are on social media, if they found equals and so on, that they get, or this is even enhanced their belief, their radical foresight, or whatever is then enhanced, and even outside of social media, the society only think about our society, and especially in the past as well as in the present, the way you conduct yourself in society, in public, whatever. This is comes with a certain way of approval, comes with a certain way of approach yourself, as well as being socially successful. I mean, this is how you're being awarded. I mean, if you're a citizen, or if you are a citizen, or if you are by the laws and so ever, or if you do whatever which fits the state or fits the interest of one a party, you will of course be awarded. I mean, a very famous example is in China, where people, in a way, where the Chinese Communist Party, which is indeed questionable, where they are really communists, however, that they try to influence people's behavior through approval systems, how people should conduct themselves in public. This is being approved, and these approvals comes with, if you want your life gets more easier, it is, for example, easier to get a credit loan, whatever, because you have certain character traits like being obedient or whatever. So this is indeed nothing which is confined to social media. This is something we find on society as well. I mean, if we talked about migrant groups, we talked about this cultural hot spot, cultural tensions within a society, especially in continental Europe, and if for example, Germans and Austrian women are considered as whores, as easy women, whatever. I mean, because of a misunderstood or a different approach to feminism, then of course in our counter culture, women will conduct themselves accordingly, and accordingly mean according to their counter culture. And this means then we being biased, being putting one on a moral pedestal and so on, in order to outshine the host culture. And this of course comes with approval within this society. I mean, how you conduct yourselves, and it is as well as vice versa. I mean, if you only consider it, and you must have heard about those issues in the society in Austria, in generally in the West, where the hijab is freeing or is oppressive, and then of course if you're a Western woman, if you some sort of liberate yourself from this perceived chains of oppression, this gets approval. This has been considered feminine, womanly. I mean, and this is very surprising if you only have to imagine that feminism in that sense, or women in the West have only voting rights since the 40s or 50s. So this is indeed a big issue. So back in the days, people would argue why women should not vote, and or even would argue why women have or that female emancipation has to be thwarted in that sense. But now there is one I get even approval for being more feminine. Of course, this is something we have to always take with a big grain of salt, because it is always the other. So it is not only if you want the altruistic interest at play. It is rather some sort of an derogatory term which is used in order to derate other cultures as backward, whatever. You have it, but again, in a society, there is a lot of misunderstanding, which especially people in the West fall victim to, and this is that the assumption that women would be oppressed, or in a way, I mean, surely, I mean, we must be very careful, and careful is meaning there are indeed women who are being oppressed. This is not only among migrant groups, this is as well as among Austrian, as well as German women. This is beyond doubt. This is a fact that there is oppression. This is happening. This is happening behind closed doors. This is happening in the public, whatever. But as well as that, there is a considerable amount of people who choose to be this, or who even get approval to be this. I mean, and we talked about antagonism, and of course we have to talk about fear as well. I mean, this is if you especially from a male perspective. I mean, if everyone talks about feminism and so on, and this is of course an issue about sexuality. This is an issue about man who, especially in our age, with all this this narrowing down of physical features. I mean, of course, this is threatening. Of course, you feel uncomfortable. Of course, you associate feminism with a woman who just wants to whore around. I mean, this is when you see many far-right groups as well. So this has nothing to do with migrant men. But if you only see this field is so emancipation as in that sense, of course, it was necessary. It helped women to finally get equality, despite but it was never, or it is still in process. It is not over, but nevertheless, this emancipation of women came partially with a shock for men, because which role do you play in a society now? I mean, especially when back in the days we talked about a little bit, you were the sole male breadwinner. The woman would be dependent on you as a man. This is how you would gain favor. This is how you made women like you, love you. This was the assumption. This was how you feel. And now you ask yourself, now with equality, how can you make a woman fall in love with you? Is this all about sex and so on? So this, of course, pushes you in a certain spot, and this can as well as be for women as well. I mean, if you have to compete with over sexuality, this is what we talked about in social media. I mean, if you scroll down on social media, all these half naked women, I mean, the longer you do it, the more and more those girls they look all the same and look partially interchangeable. This is and this is can or maybe threatened, and this, as a woman as well. I mean, what does it mean? Especially love would be very important. What you would have to talk about it and so on. But despite the fact of this antagonism, despite that you are being a social outcast, this is what you see. I mean, in the rap videos we talked about. Despite the fact, yet this is still comes with a well-being. Still comes with approval. This example, as well as with the body positive, where women, chubby women, post on social media and then get approval. I mean, this is something you wouldn't have seen, I would say, a decade or two. I mean, this has changed in itself, and this is of course addicted, and the more this is some sort of taking away from reality, the more it will be the more you will need social media, especially to enhance your well-being, and that's why it is accurate to say that social media sells a commodity, and this is approval like any other society as well. I mean, social media is not an issue, is not the problem. It is rather those conflicts in the society, those ambiguities in the society, those contradictions in the society that lead the people seeking the if you want fringes where they can create a subculture, counter culture. I mean, one very famous is rap body culture, what have you. I mean, and this is all about appreciate, and social media, it would be weird. I mean, it would be weird if social media would not work in the same systems like it in society, because then social media would be a surreal game which has nothing to do with reality or how you find things in reality. But this is not the case, quite the contrary. It is the difference of social media and reality is actually one, and this is that you can get emotional well-being faster as you can get it in reality, because in reality you would not find immediately people who tell you right away that they like you, that they appreciate whatever you're doing, or that have positive comments on you, or negative comments, especially if you need these negative comments as a way to approve, or as an approval that you're right. However, this is very important. This is reality, and of course, what we want to talked about a little bit. This all happens to a goal and to a purpose, and I think we have to talk about it, especially what is purpose and how can you differentiate between purpose and responsibility, because I think we should narrow it down, and later on goal, because goal is rather the object which is valuable. I mean, we had talked about the antagonism, about manliness. This is being successful. This means manly. This is this would be the purpose. For example, why you seek money, why you seek cars, why you have to have a lot of women, because this comes with manliness. This is associated with manliness, with being successful, because this is not different from the mainstream culture, that if you're a man, you are still the one who takes care of your wife, you're still the one who has the money, who is the boss, who is successful in being a man, and this is what is then represented in your wealth, in your car, whatever you have. However, and this goal, this material goal, then gives you some sort of purpose, meaning to your life, and meaning to your life is indeed different from responsibility, because responsibility is different, and we have to differentiate from it in order to have a clear understanding. And again, I searched Google for it, for what responsibility means, but to say that advanced, I mean, of course it is clear that a native speaker will not look up responsibility. So, I know when you learn another language that some people or things may be clear to you, but for others not so. But however, this is what we understand, especially in Google search. This is what we understand of responsibility in our daily use. And this means, in Google search, this is the Google dictionary you find in the Google browser, and their responsibility means a state or fact having a duty to deal with something or having control over someone. Then another definition is the state or fact of being accountable or to be blamed for something. Thirdly, the opportunity or ability to act independently and make decisions without authorization. So this would be rather in military terms or in businesses. And fourthly, a thing that one is required to do as part of a job role or legal obligation. Think about if you are shop assistant or whatever that you have to, then a special part in the shop is your responsibility to keep clean. And fifthly, a moral obligation to behave correctly towards other, and especially against elderly. How you should conduct yourself towards other. But we have to be aware what responsibility says here. We that you some sort of restrain your ego. This is what comes about. So a responsibility is actually not about you. It is rather that you put back your well-being, or that you put back your own pleasure to help others, to even enhance something, the functioning of something which actually is not a part of you, which actually does not give you any advantage. So responsibility is as well as something you would do, you would consider as doing something right. But responsibility is not a choice you have, because responsibility is rather the effects of the choice you made, the result. So if you make a choice, then you have to deal with the result of it, with the effects of it. For example, you don't have any responsibility to father a child yet. If you father a child, you have to take responsibility for fathering a child. This may be against your will or willingness, whatever you have it. However, here you see this is about your choice, and choice always implies that you have more than one alternative. You in our example, you had the choice not to have sex with a woman, but you choose to have sex with her. So choice always means that you had more than one option, that you had an alternative, and then responsibility is then the outcome, the result of your action. So it has to include you, but it preceded your choice. Of course, people will now argue, yeah, you don't have always a free choice. This is of course difficult. It's like, is you going to work? Is this a choice, or are you forced to? I would say it is a choice, especially if it only includes you. If you only think about yourself, especially if you are single and if you do not want to go to work, this is your choice. This is because you can't. Because you could choose not to go to work, but responsibility is then beyond you. It has nothing, or it has partially to do with you, especially how you conduct yourself towards a choice you made previously, and thus responsibility implies that you previously have made a free choice, because a law or a court does not will not hold you in contempt or force you to make a free speech. No, this is rather your ability, this is rather your possibility that you can express your thoughts, opinions, whatever, as freely. This is part of our free speech, and you will not. I mean, it happens partially, but it is rare that the court forces you to speak freely or whatever. Whereas with responsibility, this is indeed something you can held in contempt for taking care of other people, and act in a certain way according to common customs and so on. And of course, responsibility then means you are accountable for your action, because this is the result of your actions, and you behave in a certain way. I mean, you don't go to work just to feed yourself. This would be, I mean, this is something you have, especially as a single. If you live a bachelor life, it is easier to do whatever you want. But if you are a family father, then you of course have to take responsibility, and then your actions has to be considered always in accordance, or should be considered in accordance with your children. However, and this means responsibility can sometimes be against your desire, because it is not easy to go to work, or it is arduous sometimes to go to work, especially if you work with certain people, and it can as well as be against your desire. It partially or even sometimes does not serve your own well-being, but the well-being of another or a community. I mean, if you conduct yourself aptly in public, of course, this contributes to the well-being of a community as well. So this is very important. Responsibility is always something which goes beyond the individual. It is more than your single being. And here then comes purpose to play. The purpose in that sense, it is rather individual. This is what I will argue. And again, I have written out a definition of purpose, and this is the reason for which something is done or created, or which something exists. A person's sense of resolve or determination, and thirdly, a particular requirement or consideration, typically one that is temporary in scope and extent. This is actually very important. However, but you have to always be aware that purpose always is interconnected with a goal. The goal is something valuable you want to have, and this is what we try to analyze through those rap videos, through those as well as body positive. I mean, if you're chubby or obese, whatever, in society or parts of the society just considers you as lazy, as eating unhealthy, and partially it is your own fault. Whereas in this counter culture of body positive, you are being appreciated. What for? Is of course questionable, because what you are appreciated for is rather that you oppose common norms, because obesity is for a fact, it is an unhealthy lifestyle. It comes a lot with an unhealthy diet. I mean, of course, we talked about as well. I mean, you cannot always choose what you eat. Sometimes, of course, everyone, if you want to eat healthy. I cannot imagine people who willingly eat unhealthy after he knows what this done has done to him. It is rather an issue about laziness, and the same is with physical exercise. It is annoying sometimes others to get up and work in the gym and so on. But however, it comes with a benefit, and this is that you live a healthy life. And if you see, and this is to go back on social media, if you in a way take part in social media, of course your issue is that, especially in the counter culture, it is recognition. This is what you see partially in those rap videos. This is about people who are tough, about people who survived. This is then being considered as appreciative. This is then where you some sort of are better than white men who live in those secure neighborhoods, whereas you grew up in the hoods. This was not easy. This is in the hoods. You did not have all these advantages what other people had, but yet you are a tough man. You are a gangster. So you can put yourself on the pedestal. So you are manly, and of course, how you can show yourself, and this is the goal. This is what you then have accomplished, and this is then money, girls, women, house, whatever you have. This is then the goal, and the purpose would then be the way, the path towards your goal. Or only imagine if you are a Christian, Muslim, or any one of these monotheistic religions, or nirvana in that sense. Then your goal and purpose is salvation in the Hinduism, salvation from being reborn, being reborn in Buddhistic tradition. You are being reborn. That this stops this vicious circle, in a way stops, so that you then reach nirvana. And in this monotheistic religion, it is about salvation, that your time on earth, that this is rather despicable, and that after death your real life starts, and right there, this is your goal, reaching salvation, and then the purpose would be your way. So what you need to do to accomplish this goal, or how you can enter heaven in a sense, or if you come back to the world. If you want to be rich, and there are a lot of social media sites. If you want to be a millionaire, whatever, and then you have to have some develop a special mindset, habits. This is very important. Purpose always comes with habits, how you arrange your life. So it is rather something beyond a choice, because a choice is something you make temporary, and you have an immediate fulfillment of this choice. If you choose to be in a certain way, then you or if you choose to eat ice cream, then you can get yourself immediately one or not. However, our purpose is rather a commitment you did to reaching towards a goal, and this goal then is something valuable, like we said, money or whatever. And then you, of course, put your life, or arrange your life in this certain way to accomplish this course, this goal. One famous example on social media is all these mindsets, millionaire mindsets. How do you have to be successful? You all hear about and read about millionaires' lifestyles, or what they do, or what may be the recede to success, and this is then you try to emulate, and this is what the purpose is. And purpose is, of course, something which is not responsibility. Purpose is something about you, and you only, about how you want to see the world, and so on. However, now we have, of course, one good question, and this is, what has this to do with hate? Because this is what we are trying to figure out, still are figuring out, and we are still left open with the question, what is where is the bridge between hate? And if we now go back to this association chain, then we saw that this association chain came with an antagonism, with counterculture. And this is not only one thing, I mean, it goes through a lot of associations, and this is the reason why it is called as a chain, because if you only think about rap music, then of course this comes with a lot of associations, like grew up in the hood, being black, being tough, and so on. And this chain then of course includes of what you are not be. I mean, being white, being living comfortable, weak, and so on. So you create yourself according to this, and this of course has a goal, and we talked about it. I mean, the one goal is success. This is everywhere being then visible, and how can you get success? And this is being determined, or if you listen to rap music, this is being tough, being hardcore, being a gangster. This is how you can get success. Whereas in the other world, if you want outside the hoods, success is rather about your mindset, how you have to be in order to accomplish something. And then of course we have to be aware that this goal has to be in a way reachable, and this is what you are doing right now. This is as well as what you're doing on social media as well. I mean, your body positive here with the attention that you seek approval for your body, for your being, and then that you can say it is okay. But what and then of course this goal, or the reaching of this goal, has to be feasible. It has to be manageable success in that sense. But then, I mean, what might happen when you do not succeed in that sense? What is when the goal reaches so far away that even the counter culture cannot, in a way, mitigate it? And speaking of it, I mean, what if you cannot be successful? What if your ways are so bad? And this is what we see today, still, or some arguments within the Black Matter, Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, of course, we have to think about it. If all those accusations are true, I mean, we have to analyze it, but nevertheless, we know from a certain statistic that there is indeed a disadvantage within the black community. This is a fact. So it doesn't matter whether you like or dislike the Black Lives Matter movement, and I think they have a point. Of course they have, because I mean, there is indeed an issue with violence within the community, and I myself was violent, victim of racist violence as well. I mean, this is pretty much nasty, and you have to be, I mean, apparently you have to be a victim of this in order to understand this. However, I was a victim of it, and I really can understand it, and I would hope that people would see that too. However, but then we have to think about, and this is the bridge we will try to build here, what happens when you cannot accomplish that goal, especially success, because this is what society wants from you. If you're a man, they want you to be successful. If you're a woman, they want you as well as to be successful, to be a woman, or if you're a super girl, what you want. So what is when you cannot succeed in a way, and this is when of antagonism, hate is arises, and this is what we analyzed the next time. This was Adam gave us from Turkey in Ordu on this cloudy July day in the pandemic, and take care of yourself. Bye.
It's finally time to start firing up the grill. From city to shore, Acme is everything you need to prep for this summer season. Download the Acme app to shop for this season's essentials any way you want. Open the Acme app, clip your deals, then order your items online. An experienced Acme associate will carefully select your groceries, bag your order, and bring it right to your car or deliver right to your door. Download the app or visit acmemarkets.com for program details.